All right, Bitcoin fans, we're doing a deep dive today. Big price swings, liquidity stuff, and even a major security breach. We've got technical analysis, on-chain insights, a big exchange report, and even news about a hack. You'll know exactly where Bitcoin stands right now when we're done.
Yeah, it's almost like we're piecing together clues, a snapshot of Bitcoin, like right now. It's an interesting story for sure.
Okay, so the market. Jim Wyckoff. You know Jim. He put out some analysis. It was back on the 19th on Kitco News. He's saying Bitcoin's got this bearish technical edge on the daily chart.
Yeah.
Do we need to worry about a dip?
Well, it doesn't mean it's going to crash or anything. More like, a warning sign. Things get a little rough. But technical analysis, that's all about probabilities, not certainties. Got to look at other things too.
Makes sense. Speaking of other things, Troublemaker Gold on Binance Square. He's saying Bitcoin's like on a knife's edge. Bulls are aiming for $96,000 to break out, which, could launch us to $100,000. But if it doesn't break through, we could be going back down to $92,000, maybe even lower, giving me some serious 2021 vibes. Remember all that craziness?
Oh, I remember. And that kind of volatility, it makes technical analysis super hard. It's like predicting the weather in a hurricane. But, it's interesting what this volatility tells us about how people are feeling right now. It's a lot of uncertainty, right? Fear and greed all mixed up, which, if you think about it, matches those technical indicators from Wyckoff.
Okay, so if you've been doing this for a while, how do you, cut through all the noise? What are you looking for?
I always come back to the fundamentals. And one of those, basic things, especially with all this crypto volatility, is liquidity. It's like the heart of the market.
Yeah.
You want to trade, especially big trades. You need to know you can buy or sell without messing with the price too much.
Liquidity. Okay, got it. And I found this report from Bitget and CryptoRank. It was in FinTech Finance. They looked at how much liquidity there is on the biggest exchanges. Binance, Bitget, Bybit, MEXC, and OKX. Guess who came in second?
You Bitget.
You got it. Second place for overall liquidity depth, especially for the big trading pairs like BTC, USDT. This isn't just a fluke either. They've been growing like crazy. They went from 20 million users to 100 million just last year. And their trading volume exploded. Remember when nobody was paying attention to them?
It's pretty interesting, this surge in liquidity for them. Remember how they've been focusing on users and that copy trading thing? It's working. They're getting a lot of new traders, especially the ones who need that deep liquidity.
Maybe this is the start of something bigger. Are other exchanges going to have to step it up?
I think they might have to. Competition's a good thing, right? It makes everybody innovate. But there's another side to all this, choosing exchanges. And it's not so good, especially with this Bybit news.
You're talking about that hack, right? It's like one crazy thing after another.
Unfortunately, yeah. It just came out yesterday, February 22nd, Bybit, one of the big ones. They got hit hard, almost $1.5 billion in tokens stolen. It might be the biggest crypto heist ever.
Whoa, wait. This is huge. What exactly happened?
So The Edge, they're reporting that a hacker, somehow they got into an offline Ethereum wallet, which is how they got all that money. And that's the crazy part. Offline wallets are supposed to be super secure, like a vault. It makes you wonder about Bybit's whole security setup. How did this even happen?
Makes you think twice about that. Not your keys, not your coins thing, right? Even offline wallets aren't safe.
It does, for sure. Makes you question how secure these exchanges really are with so much money at stake.
Did Bybit say anything after the news came out?
Yeah, their CEO, Benzu, he came out and said that user funds are safe. That they got some loans to cover most of the losses and they're trying to get the money back. But, a lot of people are freaking out, understandably.
This whole situation makes you rethink everything.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, it shows how important it is to choose an exchange, not just on liquidity, but on security too. What's the point of all that liquidity if your money isn't safe?
Tough lesson to learn. But hey, maybe it's time to look at some different platforms.
You're right. And speaking of platforms, there's one that's been in the news lately, but for a completely different reason. Their token price.
You mean Edge, right. Their EDGE token's been going crazy. CoinGecko says it went up like 25.9%. Just the last 7 days, it's blowing everything else out of the water. What's going on there?
It's interesting, that EDGE price bump. Remember when we were talking about self-custody?
Yeah.
After the Bybit thing?
Yeah.
Seems like people are spooked. A lot of them are looking for safer alternatives because of all these exchange hacks. And Edge, they're all about privacy and self-custody, so they're benefiting from that.
And if you look at their website, they're really pushing those security features. They have this multi-asset wallet with encryption and easy backup. After that Bybit thing, it sounds pretty good.
It seems like they know what people want. Platforms that put users in control and make sure their money is safe.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot. Bitcoin's on shaky ground, Bitget's got all the liquidity, and Bybit had this huge hack. But there's one more thing we need to talk about. The bigger picture.
You mean the regulations, right? This
Yeah.
Bybit hack is going to make the regulators go nuts. But honestly, more KYC mallow, that just pushes people toward DeFi, which is even harder to regulate, right? It's like a never-ending game.
That's a great point. We definitely need to talk about that more. We need more time to get into it.
Yeah, it needs a deeper dive for sure.
All right, everyone, that's it for part 1 of our Bitcoin deep dive. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon with part 2, where we're going to tackle that whole regulatory thing and figure out what this Bybit hack means for the future of crypto.
Until then, think about what we've talked about today. How secure is your crypto? Maybe this is the time to think about platforms that prioritize privacy and self-custody.
Good advice. We'll catch you in part 2. Happy navigating the Bitcoin world. Welcome back. Remember that whole regulatory thing we were talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're diving right into it now.
It's going to happen, right?
No.
This Bybit hack, with all that money gone, it's like a dream come true for regulators. They've been wanting to get their hands on crypto for a while. All those worries about money laundering and shady stuff. This just gives them more ammo.
Like a free pass. So what are we talking about here? Stricter rules. Are we going to need a license just to buy a coffee with Bitcoin?
Maybe not that bad. But yeah, they'll probably go after exchanges more, maybe even stricter KYC, AML stuff. And, those talks about regulating stablecoins, this could push that along too.
More hoops to jump through on exchanges. Surprise, surprise. But you know how some crypto people freak out at the slightest mention of regulations? They're not going to be happy about this.
True, they won't be. And, their worries aren't totally crazy. A lot of people got into crypto because they wanted to get away from traditional finance, all the banks and stuff.
Yeah.
They see this as like a fight for freedom.
But isn't it kind of ironic? We want freedom, but then something like this hack happens, and everyone wants more security and protection. Can you really have both?
That's the big question. And this is where it gets really interesting. It makes you think about how we can make a system that's both innovative and safe. One that gives people power, but also keeps things stable.
It's like that blockchain trilemma thing, right? Decentralization, security, scalability. You can only pick two.
Exactly. And this Bybit hack shows that dilemma perfectly. What are we willing to give up? Can we find clever ways to get all three?
Maybe this is where those DEXs, the decentralized exchanges, come in. They've always been kind of clunky to use, but they're harder to hack, right? Because they're decentralized.
That's right. And maybe this whole thing will finally make them go mainstream. If they can make them easier to use and attract more liquidity, they could become a real alternative to centralized exchanges.
Okay, so DEXs are one possibility, but let's be real. Centralized exchanges aren't going away anytime soon. They're how most people get into crypto. So if more regulations are coming, what's the best way to do it? Just let the government control everything and hope for the best.
No way. They need to work with experts, developers, and most importantly, the crypto community. We need regulations that make sense, not something rushed that stops innovation and scares investors away.
We don't want to kill the golden goose. Right.
Right. It's about finding that balance,
Yeah.
Make things more secure and protect people, but don't destroy the whole point of crypto.
Maybe this is a chance for the crypto community to regulate itself, set some standards, and show the regulators we can handle it.
Yeah, I like that. We've already seen some of that. Different groups working together to come up with guidelines for responsible crypto.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, though. Bitcoin's price. This hack is everywhere in the news. Is it going to scare investors and crash the market?
Yeah, we might see some ups and downs in the short term. News like this, especially with so much money involved, it makes people panic and sell.
I know I'd be freaking out if my Bitcoin was on Bybit.
But remember, the crypto market is tough. It's been through a lot. In the long run, I think the hack's impact on Bitcoin depends on a few things.
Like what?
Well, how Bybit handles it. If they're honest about what happened, improve their security, and help their users, it could actually make people trust them more.
Damage control.
Exactly. But there's something even bigger to consider: the economy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Well, we can't ignore what's happening in the world. Inflation's up, there's tension between countries, and we might even be heading for a recession. It's all affecting how people invest.
And when things are uncertain, people look for safe places to put their money. Like gold, it's always been a safe bet.
Right. And some people think Bitcoin could be like digital gold. It's not controlled by any government or bank.
So you're saying this hack, even though it's bad right now, could actually make Bitcoin more popular as a safe haven?
It's possible. but it depends on how all these different things play out. It's complicated.
Okay, so we've talked about regulations, DEXs, and the economy. But there's one more thing I want to know. What does this all mean for the future of crypto? Is this a turning point?
That's a great question. To answer that, we need to step back and look at the big picture.
You're killing me. What's the big picture?
For that, I think we need a whole new segment. One last dive into the heart of the matter.
Okay, deep divers, we're back. We've seen those Bitcoin price swings, that crazy Bybit hack, all of it. Now the big question. What does it all mean for the future of crypto?
You know, it's not just about this one hack. It's about this kind of struggle, this tension that's been going on in crypto for a while now.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, on the one hand, there's this push for decentralization, right?
Yeah.
A financial system that's free from governments and banks. It's that whole idea of power to the people that got a lot of us into crypto in the first place.
Yeah, be your own bank. It sounds great. But then there's the other side. We want security, stability. We don't want to get ripped off. And honestly, all those scams and stuff early on, that didn't exactly make crypto look good.
That's true. And that's where this Bybit hack comes in. It shows us that even with decentralized finance, there's still this centralization, these big exchanges. With all that money, they're like targets for hackers. And when they get hit, the whole system feels it.
So it's like this hack showed us a weakness, not just in Bybit, but in the whole idea of trusting these big platforms.
Yeah, it's a wake-up call. And I think it's going to make something happen faster, a move towards solutions that are more decentralized.
Like those DEXs we were talking about before?
Yeah, DXs are part of it. But it's bigger than that. It's about self-custody, people taking control of their own money, hardware wallets, multi-sig, even those decentralized identity things.
So you're thinking about a future where crypto is totally decentralized, where everyone has control. But is that really possible? Can you have that much decentralization and still have a system that works, that people can actually use?
It's a big challenge, but I'm hopeful. The technology is getting better so fast. We've got layer 2 scaling, privacy stuff, interoperability protocols. It's all moving us closer to that vision.
Maybe this Bybit hack, as bad as it was, is what's going to push things forward, like it's forcing the industry to change.
I think you might be right. Sometimes it takes a crisis to make big changes, and this could be one of those times for crypto.
So what do you think? Where do you see crypto, say, 5 years from now?
Well, making predictions in crypto, it's always a gamble. But I think we'll see more variety, more resilience. Centralized exchanges will still be around, but they'll have to work harder to earn our trust. Decentralized solutions will get easier to use so people can manage their own finances. And I think we'll see totally new uses for blockchain, things we haven't even thought of yet.
That's exciting. But what about Bitcoin? Will it still be the big dog in 5 years?
Bitcoin has survived everything. Booms, busts, regulations, tech problems, and it's still here, still going strong.
Like a cockroach, you can't kill it.
Yeah. And that whole digital gold thing, that's only going to become more important, especially with the economy being so shaky.
So you're optimistic about Bitcoin?
For the long haul, absolutely. But I'm also excited to see what else comes along in the crypto world. This is just the beginning.
Well said. Okay, to all our listeners out there, what's the one thing you want them to take away from all this?
Stay curious, keep learning, and don't be afraid to try things out. Crypto is all about exploring, learning as you go. But remember, do your research, be smart about risks, and never invest more than you can afford to lose.
Good advice. All right, I think that's a wrap for this deep dive.
It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And to all our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We hope you learned something, got some good ideas, and maybe even had some fun with us.
Remember, the future of crypto is happening right now, and you can be a part of it.
So stay curious, stay involved, and we'll see you next time.